Okay, so I'm Marta Cruzão and I'm going to explain how to set up the FEP bags into the 2D Clinostat. As you see, I'm working in the clean bench. It's important to work sterile, and because of that, as we are preparing the bag, we need to use sterile scissors. We can just dip them in ethanol, 70%, and then we can open the bag, which also comes into a sterile wrapping. This bag has gas permeable membranes, which is very cool as it allows for the culture of different microorganisms for long periods of time. So unfortunately, the bag as it comes from the company has an extra tubing, which we don't need. And then so we can cut it out using sterile scissors. And we can just cut more or less 0.5 centimeter to the tip, and then we can discard the tubing or use it for another purpose. So to make sure that the liquid is not coming out, we can seal this opening with parafilm. Here I fast forward the parafilm wrapping. I use 2 strips of parafilm, but probably 1 will be enough. So what is important is that it's very tight. So as we put the second strip of parafilm, the bag is essentially ready. And so we can start preparing our media and inoculum. So in this case we have pigmented E. coli. The maximum volume for the bag is 45 milliliters. So in this case I have 44.5 milliliters of media, and then I will inoculate with 500 microliters of E. coli. And what is important here is that we don't have any air, so that we prevent the formation of bubbles in the bag. And this is important because the bubbles, as they are bumping into the microbes, they create shear forces, which is what we don't want in microgravity simulation. So because of this, when we mix the media and the inoculum, it's important to do a slow up and down and not vortexing it. So as we have the medium and inoculum mixed, we can just slowly transfer this to a big flask. And this is just because the syringe is not fitting into the falcon tube, so we can just transfer it slowly, not to form any bubbles, onto the flask. And then we can retrieve, using a sterile syringe, we can retrieve the media and inoculum. So again, what is important is that we don't have any air. So here, make sure the syringe is dipped into the media before you start pulling up the liquid onto the syringe. And then you can also prepare 50 milliliters of media and inoculum in total, and then just pump 45 milliliters into the bag. Okay, so to avoid any bubbles, you can see there's still some air in the syringe. We can just push the air out until the liquid is coming off. So when you see some drops like here, then the syringe is essentially ready. So then you can put the media and inoculum onto the bag. You need to push a little bit, there's some kind of safety valve, and then you can just rotate and make sure it's tight, and then you can pump the media and inoculum onto the bag. So doing it slowly, again, it's very hard not to have any bubbles in the bag, to be honest, but you know, do your best, and in the end, if you have some bubbles, as you see, I will have some bubbles, it's not a problem. That's also why we have triplicates. So as you can see, the bag starts to fill up, and it feels a little bit fat, as it is supposed to. So maximum volume is 45 milliliters. And then you can take out the syringe and or clean off the excess of liquid using a chem wipe or any other absorbent paper, and then the bag is essentially ready. This is a Clinostat and a power supply. There's some screw bars where you can place the bags, and then this is the main body part that you need to set to be parallel to the table, so, or to the floor. And you can use a bubble level to make sure that it's leveled, and then you can tighten it so that it's not moving anymore. So you can also adjust the feet. There's a bubble level included in the Clinostat for the feet, but this is not so important. In terms of the feet, what is important is that it's not wobbly, so the bubble level is not so important, but you need to make sure that is not wobbly. And the most important part that needs to be leveled is the main body where the screw bars are attached to. Here I'm showing you the power supply. There's a cable that connects to the plug, and then there is the cable that connects to the Clinostat. So in this video I don't show where to put the bags that are used as ground control, but they also have to be set next to the Clinostat in a rack that can allow for oxygen to pass through. So as you turn it on into the power button, you can adjust the speed, so the revolutions per minute, or RPM, and then you can just click start and stop. And you can see the Clinostat starts turning. So here I'm showing you when you turn it off. Usually it takes some seconds to disappear in the screen, so this is normal. But if you turn it off and it was still in the start position, in the green button, when you turn it back on, you cannot adjust the RPM. So this can be solved just by clicking again into the stop button, and then you can adjust it, the RPM, and then you can start again, and the Clinostat works. So to set the bags onto the Clinostat, and here you can see there's some bubbles, which is not supposed to, but again it's very hard not to. You can just wrap the bags around the screw bars, and then you can use the clamps to tighten it onto the screw bars. The Clinostat can be put into the incubator at any temperature. So the Clinostat can fit up to 3 bags. And there's also this stop bar just to make sure that the bags don't fall off while the Clinostat is rotating. So when you have your bags ready, then you can start the Clinostat, and you can see that the bag is rotating at the very center of the rotation axis. And you can leave the Clinostat rotating for 2-3 days, 1 week, however long you need. So just to show how to sample. So if you want to sample and then put the bag back into the Clinostat for further incubation, imagine you want to sample 1 milliliter of culture. It's important that you have a syringe prepared with 1 milliliter of fresh media, and then you can insert the syringe into the bag and then just mix 2 or 3 times so that you can what is important is that in the end you have 45 milliliters of volume. So of course if you're taking 1 milliliter out, it's important that you replace this 1 milliliter. So yeah, then you can just retrieve the syringe and then keep your sample into an Eppendorf and keep it for further analysis. So yeah, that was it, and thank you so much for your attention.